So I'm melting some beeswax, and I'm going to use it to paint some foundation that I got last summer. This useless medium foundation that has no beeswax on it, and the bees wouldn't touch it. The last thing they wanted to do was build comb on this foundation. It really knocked me back last summer, having this stuff, thinking it was good foundation, and it was just garbage. So I'm going to melt this wax, and I've never really done this before, and it's melting pretty quick. So I'm going to turn that down a bit. Looks pretty melted to me. And I'm going to just take this little thing, and I'm going to dip it in the wax and just paint it on the foundation. And then I'm going to put it in my beehives, and the bees should build on it. So we'll see what happens. So I had no problem painting the wax on. You can't really see it on this light colored stuff, but it's pretty thick and it looks okay. But I also noticed that if I just took the slightly soft wax, the little chunks of wax, that's a bit too gooey right now, but just slightly soft beeswax, I could just hold the chunk of it in my hand and just rub it on the frames, and it works just as well. Seems to work just as well. Oh, I just did that with my hand, just by taking a chunk of honey and of wax and just rubbing it into the cells, and that looks just as good as what I got from and this is the stuff that was painted on, right? And it looks okay. But this almost looks better. And that was just slightly soft wax rubbed on with my hand. That might be the way to go. So I discovered that this thing is useless. This just disintegrates, but a regular paintbrush does the job. But also just a bit of wax like that, and just get it warmed up a little bit, just so it's slightly soft, and then just rub it into the and just rub it into the cells of the plastic foundation, and there you go. Seems just as good as the stuff that was painted on to me. Alright, so this is a hunk of beeswax, pure clean beeswax. This is plastic foundation in a medium frame. And the beeswax isn't like it's hard, but it's not like extremely hard, but maybe it's normal, hardness, I don't know. So there's the wax, there's the foundation, and we just now that's just a sample, but then if you look at it, you can see that's enough wax for the bees. There should be enough wax for the bees to start building. Now, once I cover all the cells, I just did a little bit of it there, but that works. It didn't require any melting or funky stuff like that. Just a hunk of wax, nice clean beeswax, and off you go. And here it is, with all the wax rubbed into the cells. Now, it's not as pretty as melted wax, but I think it has the same effect. Should work, right? Here's the other side. I've noticed that if I melt the surface, or just sort of partially melt the surface of the wax like that, it rubs on a lot easier. Yeah, just take the bit of wax, just enough to get it a little bit soft, and then I just rub it into the plastic like this, and it ends up looking like that. Yeah. Pretty good. So here's a frame that I just poured some melted wax, leftover melted wax, right onto the frame, and I could see that if you painted this stuff with a paintbrush and really gave it a good dip, you could really get this wax on super thick. But I don't have a lot of wax, so I have to add it as sparingly as possible, but still give the bees enough to work with and to attract them to the plastic. Because last year I bought 100 sheets of this stuff, this Right Cell plastic foundation. The Right Cell has more deeper imprint of the cell on the plastic, so the bees supposedly don't have to work as much. I think it's kind of silly because it's not even a millimeter. It might be a millimeter thicker than regular foundation. It's sort of, I don't know. I don't think it's a big effort for the bees to build that little extra millimeter of cell. But anyway, I had 100 sheets of this, and I was trying to build up my colonies last summer after some bad times over the past few years, and my bees didn't build up as well as I wanted them to because of this stupid plastic foundation. Now, there were some weather issues as well, but the bees would not touch this plastic foundation. Because there was no wax on it. I didn't know that when I bought it. Like, usually there's at least a tiny film of wax, of beeswax on this foundation, but that stuff had nothing on it, and the bees barely touched it. It took forever for them to build on it, and even when they did, they barely did anything on it. So now I've got my own wax. I bought some wax, and now I'm waxing all that foundation. I've also replaced as much of this foundation with some black foundation that I already had. I had some deep foundation. I've cut it down to a medium size because black, it's always much easier to see everything that's going on inside a cell on a black foundation than it is on white or a light colored foundation like this. I don't know why it must be cheaper to make light colored or white foundation than it is to make black foundation, because I don't really see the benefit of it other than to say, oh, this is where the honey supers are and you can see more light through it. Maybe, I don't know, it's maybe it's an aesthetic thing, but on a practical level, if you use mediums for brood chambers, this white foundation or light colored foundation is not the greatest. Anyway, I got one frame left to put some wax on, and then I'm done. So just putting this medium super together, and I've used brass screws to put my hive parts together, my supers together, and I've used an air gun or staple gun, you know, a high pressured staple gun, hydraulic, whatever you want to call that thing. And today I just used these nails, these hardwood flooring nails, 3 1/4 inch. I gotta tell you, I like this the most. I think it holds the supers together. It looks like it holds the supers together better than the nail gun, because the nail gun is just this tiny little bit of nothing. But this is like well put together. I didn't have to pre-drill the holes. I think that was the easiest super I've ever put together, just using 3 1/4 or 1 3/4 nails. So yeah, I might go with this from now on. Though hopefully my super days are done. I've got so many supers now that I've got more than I can use. Anywho, that's good. Good to know.